What is up, you guys? It's your favorite cutie, Mel, back again on my Soapbox channel to give you guys yet another video. And if you guys don't know, if you haven't been here in a while, or if you're new here, we do affirmation cards to start out each video because I love affirmations. So I'm going to try to pick one that I haven't picked before. Sometimes these cards stick together. Let's just get underneath each one. Okay. Create. All right. Create. Affirmation. I don't need to be an artist to create art. Reminder, I am a creative person even if my work doesn't sit in a museum. Practice, draw, follow a recipe, water your plants, organize your space. It's all a part of the creative process. So I feel like this card is really good for me right now because if you guys haven't been able to tell, I've been uploading more frequently, and I'm really trying to just get out of my way content-wise so I can just get out all different kinds of videos, see what you guys like, and then, you know, kind of just restructure this channel in a way that I can serve you guys and we can build a community here, okay? So that's a pretty cool card. Now let's hop into the video topic. So if you guys are have been watching my videos, or even if you haven't, I've been talking a lot about my attachment style and how I feel, and pretty much know that I am in a fearful avoidant attachment style. I had to really just be real with myself and think about why the relationships that I have in my life are the way that they are, why I tend not to have a lot of close friends. Not that I feel like I need to have a ton, but what is getting in the way of me having successful relationships with other people, and what kind of people am I choosing, what kind of people am I drawn to, and why is that? So I just been doing a lot of self-reflection. I've been off of Instagram, off of Twitter, which are like my main addictions, truthfully. So I've like had time to sit and think with myself, and these things have been coming up for me lately. And then I thought about, you know, why is it that it's taken me this long to accept where I am as far as like my attachment style, and why have I been so hesitant to really dive into this kind of information? Because attachment styles and things are not really new to me, but I think I've always been more interested in maybe like just seeing what kind of attachment styles the people that I'm interacting with are. Those are like pretty much the only times that I would search, like if I'm in a relationship with someone and I'm not really understanding like this person and their way of being. So typically when I don't understand people, I like to do research. I am somebody who likes to, I guess, intellectualize feelings and things, and I'm really into human psychology, which I found out is really something that is common amongst people who are fearful avoidant, which really just solidified for me even more. But I think I really stayed away from titles because I'm very into manifestation and the subconscious mind, as you guys know on my channel. It's like, do I want to put a name to this? Do I want to really claim this? But I'm coming to the realization now that for me, sometimes labels are helpful because it helps me to identify clearly where I'm at. Then I'm able to learn more about where I'm at so I can move myself out of certain situations. So if it's like, if you're in pain and it's your stomach, I think it's very like helpful to say, what kind of pain is it? You know, where is the pain? So when you can locate something, when you can address something, then you have a starting place to be able to work directly and find things that help you fix and heal the things that are going on with that specific pain. You understand? So it's like I think I've just been running away from the label of committing to being anything, and sometimes even being like, is that real? Is it important? But I'm finding that it is important because now I'm able to take actionable steps from where I am, instead of focusing on what everybody else is doing and kind of just looking at the reflection of the people who are around and the reflection of the relationships. Being able to sit with myself and identify what it is within me that is the cause. You know, what is the cause? What is the root? What is that? So I talked about it a little bit, but because of this, I've decided to enroll myself into ACA meetings, and I'm going to be attending my first meeting this Friday. And it's for people who were raised in dysfunctional families and like children of addicts. And at first I was wondering, like, do I belong there? Should I go there? Should I give it a try? And the more I thought about it, I think that it actually is really important because I lived with my grandma for a good significant part of my life as well as in childhood. And there was alcoholism, there was dysfunction, there was a lot of enabling of addiction, and that those things, whether I know how it's affected me or not, have affected me. And that's not normal for everyone to be raised in such circumstances. And I think that I need to just really dive into the things that have made me into the person that I am. And since I have not honestly seen too many healthy relationships firsthand, I think it's important for me to just accept that I had a traumatic childhood, and a lot of traumatic things I feel like have happened to me. And I think that I need to not judge my trauma. I think sometimes we judge our trauma by what we hear about other people's childhoods. Like, yeah, I may not have been like regularly physically abused in any way, or I think we kind of compare and contrast against like what we think is the worst of the worst, and kind of give ourselves like, well, at least it wasn't that bad, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't bad. And then speaking of the words good and bad, I also wanted to just touch on the fact that, like, for instance, I think another reason why I didn't want to self-identify as like a fearful avoidant person, and I like to consider myself a secure attachment, even though that's not the reality of how I've been attaching to people and connecting with others. I like to think of myself that way because I guess wishful thinking, but also just the connotation that I had of what is good and what is bad. I looked at secure attaching as being a good thing. Oh, it's so good to be securely attached. Let me identify with that. And I looked at being avoidant as a negative thing because, there's a lot of things that are not favorable that come along with that for what I want for myself. But something I was thinking about today is wherever you are in your journey, if you're a fearful avoidant person like me, whether you anxiously attach to people, whether you're secure, wherever you are in your journey, whether it's disorganized, whatever, do not identify it as good or bad. It simply just is. When you look at it that way, you can kind of just say, okay, this is where I'm at, but what are my goals? And if where you are is not aligning with your goals, then that gives you reason to just start working on things. Like, it's not about good or bad. It's about, is it in alignment? Is that in alignment? There are people who maybe don't necessarily care to be in long-term relationships. Maybe they're fine being in their solitude, and there are people who prefer solitude, and there are people who never will want to be married or be in a long-term commitment because they prefer to just kind of go at life alone, which is not bad. There are people who exist like that. Partnerships are not for everyone. It's a choice. But for me, since I am someone who wants to have a long-lasting relationship, right now, how I attach to people and how my relationships play out with people is not in alignment with long-term success. Where I am right now is as a fearful, avoidant kind of person, when I'm attaching to people, is I'm not able to really get close to people. I don't really feel comfortable being super vulnerable. I don't like telling people about myself like in depth. And I noticed this like even when I was so I had a band, right? And we were in rehearsals, and sometimes we have to talk about the songs and stuff like that and come up with banter to say, like, to the audience, to kind of tell them where you're coming from. And I write a lot of my music, which makes it really personal to me. So I noticed how difficult it was for me to want to share those things. Like, it was really hard for me to put into words in front of other people why I wrote certain songs, being as to it being vulnerable, and I don't always want to share that much, even though some of the stuff that I was saying is stuff that we all go through, is stuff that is a part of the human experience, and not even necessarily without giving so much details. It's things, but sometimes I notice that I don't like to admit of when I was feeling down, or really talk in depth sometimes about when I was feeling extremely vulnerable, when I was feeling like I wasn't enough, when I was feeling like whatever the case might be, I don't like to share those things with other people. So as you can imagine, if you don't want to ever share anything that's too deep about yourself, how are you really going to build meaningful bonds with someone? It's next to impossible. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's pretty hard, because part of what connects people is being able to share experiences, whether it's good or bad. And I feel like for me, I'm primed to only really want to share the good stuff. I don't, a lot of the stuff that I judge myself about, whether it be like feeling a certain kind of way or things I've done or mistakes I made, I like to keep a lot of that stuff to myself, because I never want to appear as someone who is weak. And I think that's a part of, the vulnerability, not being able to appear. And it's not weak to be vulnerable. And I know that, because that's why I admire so many people who I've shared on this platform, share stories about their life and share when they made mistakes and done things that I would have never admitted to the people in my life, let alone the internet. And I admire that in other people. I find that it's a strength, because to me, it's something that doesn't come natural. It's not easy for me to share when I make mistakes. It's not easy for me to admit to people, even when I'm in relationship with them, that you hurt my feelings. It's so hard. It's so hard, which is why I'm so proud of myself for recently, whether it ends up in not having friends or not, or in messing up certain friendships, I shared with people how their actions made me feel. And I'm sure it didn't make them feel comfortable, because I wasn't like just brushing over my feelings like I normally would and just being like, oh, it's okay. Like, no, I really let this person know. Because I was saying, I let someone know what I had an interaction with someone where they noticed that I visibly wasn't like excited to see them. And they had came back and asked me about it, like, is there something that we need to talk about? I slept on it. I woke up and I told them, actually, yeah. If you want to speak about it, we can. And I went on to tell them why I felt disappointed and hurt by the actions that they had taken or not taken. And they came back and said, like, they gave me their reasons and all that different stuff. And I just explained to them that I'm no longer like interested in being someone who has to hide their emotions or can't tell people how I feel or show how I feel on my face. I'm just trying to lean into more authenticity. Oh my gosh, so that I can just be more real. And you know what? I think the process is going to be a little messy, because sometimes it is messy to just be honest and authentic, because people there is like a social expectation to keep things cute, to keep it short, like, to keep it cute. But I don't want to just keep it cute. I want to be interacting with people who can witness me in my fullness, when I'm happy, when I'm sad, what I like, what I don't like. And while I'm not going to try to actively pick fights and stuff like that, I do want to just be able to loosen up and be a multi-dimensional person, not just to myself, but to others, and especially the others that I spend my time with, the others that I'm investing my energy into. Like, if I can't be me, I don't want it. And at this point, I'm okay with starting over. And this process has also made me realize that I actually do have a lot of friends as well. Like, I do have a few friends that I do feel comfortable with, that are long-standing relationships, that have went through things, have bounced back from things, and I'm leaning more into that. And also, one more thing I wanted to add is, if you guys are fearful avoidant, one of the things that the video has suggested is to actively let yourself have those relationships and see those mirrors. So for me, that means let me hit up my friends that I know I'm really connected to and who really get me. Let me start to interact with those people more. And I feel like it would even be great for me to start interacting with people who I've known in childhood a lot more, because I have the opportunity to do that. But I think that sometimes I do shy away from the relationships that I am more vulnerable in, and because those relationships can hurt you sometimes, and the things, and I am a sensitive person. I think a lot of people think that maybe I'm cold, but I think I'm not cold. I'm just sensitive. So I will just like not interact with things sometimes that are going to be, that can potentially be emotionally costing, you know? So I think that's why I have chosen to interact with people more recently that don't require much emotional depth. Why I do prefer to have like work friends, because work friends do not require you to be vulnerable, really. You could just kind of go there, you can have your social, get your social fix, do something fun, do something productive, and then you don't have to talk much about your real life or what you're really going through in depth at all. You don't have to do any of that. You could just show up and just be that person for that time who's doing an activity, and then you leave, and then you're back to yourself. So I'm challenging myself. Challenge myself to open up. I've already started doing the work. I've already started to talk to people who I know I have those deep relationships with, and I'm going to integrate those permanently into my life and try to keep those going, like, you know, instead of like shying away from them, and then every now and then once I get lonely enough, like going to my friends and then talking and maybe having a cry. Like, I don't have to do that. I can always integrate love and vulnerability into my life, and I think it's going to just strengthen that muscle of being able to openly be vulnerable, talk about things that bother me, and get through it and let it not be a big deal, you know, move past it. So that's all the video that I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys are enjoying this and me just opening up, being more vulnerable, challenging myself. Thank you for being a part of my process, my journey. As I always say, passion, stay cute. Anything that I may put in the description, you can feel free to check that out if you want to support me further. And if not, you could just subscribe if you're not subscribed, and you could like this video. Okay? Mwah.